Hi, this is the first video in a series of tutorials to get you trained in the production and perception of the IPA sounds. And this week we will get started with nasals. That's because nasals are very flexible in terms of place of articulation, so I thought it would be a good starting point to understand all the different places of articulation. In most languages of the world, when a nasal is followed by a consonant, it just assimilates to the place of articulation of that consonant. So that's why nasals are very flexible in place of articulation. So nasals are voiced sounds. They are produced with vocal fold vibration. So for example, if I say an M, and I touch my throat here, I can feel the vibration produced by the phonation, the vibration of the vocal folds. Sometimes in some contexts or positions there are unvoiced versions of the nasals, and if that is the case, we can transcribe them with a little circle below the main symbol or on top of the symbol if it has a lower stroke, just to avoid confusion and enhance readability. But otherwise, in principle, as I said, nasals are voiced. Also, nasals are characterized because the velum is descended, so it doesn't touch the rear wall of the upper pharynx, and there is this free channel here for the air to go up into the nasal cavity and escape through the nostrils. So unless you have a nasal congestion, you will probably be able to feel the air coming out of your nostrils if you place a finger here when you say alright? Okay, so let's start with the different places of articulation. First of all, we have the bilabial. That means that both of your lips are touching each other, so that's what happens with M. Okay, ma, ama, ama, The next possibility is a labiodental. That means that you are making a contact between your lower lip and your upper teeth. That's, for example, the position for the sound F. So place your lips and teeth as though you were going to pronounce F, but then actually now make a nasal, so kind of an M. M, amma, amma, okay? The acoustic quality is very similar to the bilabial M, so in this case the difference can be told mostly basing on the visual cue. Ma, amma, amma, instead of ma, amma, alright? Next we have the dental. You have to touch the inner surface of your upper teeth with your tongue tip. So that goes na, anna, anna, an. Also, even if it's not in the main IPA chart, but there are some interdental varieties of nasal, and in that case you transcribe the N, and the diacritic that we have used for dental, which is called a bridge, it is actually like a square bracket facing down. That's the symbol for dentality. So we place dental and dental, so the N is kind of a sandwich between the teeth, so that's how we transcribe interdental. And that would be na, anna, anna, an, right, with the tongue tip coming out of the mouth between both the lower and the upper teeth. The alveolar is just like a regular N. If you start touching with your tongue tip the upper teeth as you did for the dental, and you move slightly backwards, the first region of flesh that you encounter is the alveolar ridge. So it's that region here, and then you pronounce na, ana, ana, an. Retroflex sounds are produced in the postalveolar region, but with your tongue tip facing up and back, so it's twisted back, like you can see here. So that leaves this sublingual cavity that gives the sound some special resonances. These acoustic characteristics are actually better perceived when there is a vowel before the retroflex consonant, because that sublingual cavity becomes smaller and smaller towards the end of the segment as you are about to release the contact. So retroflex nasal sounds na, ana, ana, an. In the case of the palatal nasal, the tongue dorsum is touching the roof of the mouth, so the center of the hard palate. To achieve the palatal constriction, you can follow these 4 steps. First of all, place your tongue tip as though you were going to pronounce an N. Second, move your tongue tip behind the lower teeth. Third, with your hands, you can raise your jaw. So now you're making a full contact between your tongue dorsum and the palate. And fourth, release, thinking that you're pronouncing N. Nya, 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 nya. Okay, so you want to avoid thinking that this palatal nasal is actually a sequence of consonant N and vowel I, something like nia. Alright, so it's not that. You should produce all those qualities at once in one single segment. That's what makes it really palatal. So it's not the same nia or nya. The velar place of articulation is where you would pronounce a K, but you want to make it nasal, of course. That's the sound that you have, for example, in the English word sing. So that would be nga, anga, anga, an. You see, this is the top rear part of the palate, which is already the soft palate, or also called the velum. And finally, we have the uvular nasal, which is transcribed with a small capital N. So basically the difference between the velar and the uvular is that the velar is higher and the uvular is lower and more to the back. Okay, so a natural way to find the exact place for the uvular articulation is the following. Sit down and move your head up and back and just relax and let the gravity do the rest. Nga, anga, anga, anga. Also, a difference between velar and uvular is that for velar, the jaw usually rises, whereas for the uvular, either stays still or goes down. And of course, it is impossible to have a nasal with any place of articulation lower than the uvular, because then the constriction will keep the air from passing into the nasal cavity. So that's all for this week. See you in the next video.